because we still need to have a clear, coherent political communication coming from the political opposition. You have the leader of minority that says this is the second most largest party in parliament. Ideally, we shouldn't be having people aligned to the political, to the minority party serving in the majority government. You get? Because then that undermines accountability. But if you're looking for technocrats, bureaucrats, in this election we've seen the likes of David Ndii on the other side, the likes of Professor Makau Mutua on this other side. If for one reason or another, whoever wins the presidency wants to co-opt either of these technocrats, they would be at liberty to do so, because then they'll be coming to lend their professional expertise. That's okay.
Na pia Bob, labda kuna mtu atasema itakuwa ngumu kwa sababu hata watu wakienda kupiga kura, labda pengine kila mrengo ulikuwa kuna tayari unajua tukishinda huyu nani nani. Na kuna lile swala kwamba watu wanaogopa kwamba anayeshinda anachukua kila kitu, kumaanisha anayeshindwa hana nafasi kisheria ya kuwa na nyadhifa yake kama kiongozi wa upinzani rasmi kisheria. Mlichukua ya maoni wakati tunasema tunasubiri katiba ya mwaka 2010. Hili mbona alikuweza kuafikiwa?
Manake ni kwa sababu ya mfumo ambao tulikubaliana kama Wakenya tuwe nao katika uongozi wa ngazi ya utekelezaji wa kitaifa, yani national executive, na tulichukua mfumo wa kimombo tunasema presidential. Na kwa hivyo sasa unaona kwamba ni zile taasisi za dola ama vitengo vya dola ambavyo ndivyo ambavyo vinatiliwa msingi na kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo kuna national executive, kuna bunge la kitaifa, alafu kuna mahakama. Kwa hivyo katika huu mfumo utakuta kwamba na ule mfumo ambao sasa upinzani ama kiongozi wa upinzani yupo katika bungeni na wadhifa wake bungeni maalum, utakuta kwamba ni katika ule mfumo wa ubunge, yani parliamentary system. Na hapa tumejaribu kuileta hapo awali. Ukiangalia rasimu za katiba za awali kama ni ile ya Bomas na hata ile ya kwanza, sisi kama Committee of Experts tulikuwa tumeichapisha Harmonized Draft Constitution of Kenya, ilikuwa inajaribu kuleta hii mifumo yote miwili pamoja, mfumo wa urais. Kwa hivyo iwe kama mseto, mfumo wa urais na mfumo wa ubunge. Lakini mwisho wa Kenya wakaamua kwamba ni mfumo wa urais ambao utakuwa nao. Lakini si ati kwamba hakuna upinzani. Tofauti ni jinsi chanzo na chimbuko cha serikali, na serikali inaendesha shughuli zake kutoka wapi. Kwa hivyo mfumo wa ubunge,
unamshtua Steve.
Kwa hivyo serikali inaendesha shughuli zake kutoka bunge. Unakuta waziri mkuu yuko bungeni, mpinzani wake ambaye ndio kiongozi wa upande ambao ulishindwa ama ulikuwa wa pili wakati wa uchaguzi, ndio anakuwa kiongozi ama kinara wa upinzani. Kwetu shughuli bungeni ambazo sasa zinaongozwa na tuseme yule ndio kiongozi wa masuala ama shughuli za upinzani zinachukuliwa, wadhifa unachukuliwa na kiongozi wa upinzani, leader of the minority. Na pia bungeni kuna ule upande ama wale wabunge na maseneta ambao ni wa kutoka chama ama mrengo ambao rais anatoka, na kuna wale ambao pia ni wa upinzani. Kwa hivyo si ati kwamba hakuna upinzani, ni mfumo tu na utaratibu wa jinsi upande wa upinzani unaweza kutekeleza majukumu yake. Kwa hivyo hilo ndilo tofauti, na tunaweza kumbuka ya kwamba manake hasa wakati ule tulikuwa tunaendesha mchakato wa BBI, kulikuwa na hilo swala la kwamba pengine hakuna kiongozi wa upinzani, ndiposa upinzani hauna mashiko ama ushawishi wowote. Lakini tukumbuke jinsi upinzani, na hata wakati ule mheshimiwa aliyekuwa waziri mkuu Raila Odinga kuanzia mwaka 2013 hadi mwaka 2017, yeye hakuwa bungeni, lakini jinsi alivyoendesha shughuli na kusimamia shughuli za upande wa upinzani. Na kwa hivyo sio ati kwamba upinzani hauna nguvu katika mfumo kama huu.
And just a question, Steve, because whoever is declared the president and they find themselves, they're in State House, but they don't have the majority in Parliament. For instance, they don't have the majority in the National Assembly. So the lead of majority is not from your party. What happens? How do you deal with government business in the House? Who leads the government business? Is it your lead of minority? Or how do you deal with it?
Well, happily, that scenario may not, okay, let me not say may not obtain, because looking at the numbers, it seems that Azimio has a slight majority on the number of elected members of the National Assembly. The leader of majority by law, by constitutional definition, is the leader of the party that has the highest number of elected members, and the leader in the National Assembly. And the leader of minority is the second most largest party in the National Assembly. If it so happens that the leader of majority and the head of the executive come from opposing camps, we would still expect them at the very minimum to have some harmonious work relationship. We will expect, Parliament has been designed to work independently outside the influence of the office of the President of the Executive. So that if it's about generating bills, the bills will be generated by the Cabinet. The Attorney General will be responsible for preparation of those bills and then share them with the leader of majority. The leader of majority is, by law, mandated to ensure that those bills are tabled and canvassed. If he declines, then there would be need for judicial intervention, because then he would be sabotaging the functions of that office. The function of that office is supposed to go on smoothly, whether the leader of majority is within the same party as the president or not, whether they have fallen out or whether they have a harmonious.
But how practical is that? Because remember the different bills that have been passed in the top of Parliament, whether it's the security laws or it's the VAT introduction on fuel, and you find that leader of majority then, Aden Duale, would be at the forefront. Assuming that President Kenyatta's party was ODM, led by John Mbadi, and Aden Duale does not believe in what the government was pushing for, how do you reconcile that? Because Aden Duale would have been forced to propagate something he doesn't believe in.
Well, you know, there's no limit on how far someone can go to sabotage a constitutional office. But what we do know for sure is that the Constitution expects a harmonious work relationship between the two offices, regardless of the composition of the nature of their relationship between the office of the president and the office of the leader of majority. I think that scenario has not already played, but if it were to happen, if Parliament does not want to advance the legislative interest of the executive, then the executive is at liberty to move to court to compel them to pass legislation that are key. If they cannot pass those legislation, then we would have to review. The political accountability would be the executive would then retreat back and say, you know what, I am going to implement the laws that have been passed by Parliament. If Parliament decides to sabotage national interest, then they do not punish the president. You punish the general population, which includes the voters.
All right, it's now 4:30 p.m. We've been here for more than 5 hours waiting for the fifth. And I think, Lulu, we have to let go for another team to continue with the very important duty of waiting, because that's our work. My name is Sam Gituku.
Nami nasema shukran sana kwa wageni wetu siku ya leo, lakini haimaanishi kwamba tunaacha kupeperusha taarifa hizi moja kwa moja, lakini kuna wengine ambao wanaingia sasa, wanashikilia zamu. Ni Wahiga Mwaura, Jeff Koinange, Viviru Badili, Nabii Mashima Kapombe.
Na bila shaka tulikuwa watatu, hatujabahatika kupata matokeo moja kwa moja kwa rais wa tano, lakini tuna wenzetu wanne wanakamilisha marais wa kwanza, wa pili, wa tatu, wa nne watakuwa wanaingia studioni ili watupe matokeo, yani nani atakuwa rais wa tano. Mtazamaji, tunasema asante zaidi kutizama Citizen TV. Tunakupeleka moja kwa moja ukumbini Bomas ujue kinachoendelea.
Simama, Wakenya wote simama. simama, wewe shujaa, simama. Nchi yangu, jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Najivunia taifa langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama. Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama.
Kenya yaito beautiful, mazingira tobwate colorful. Aba Kenya na bantu wonderful, proud to be Kenyan, I'm grateful.
Simama, 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 wewe shujaa, simama. Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama.
Never do a card in Tuntoli Kuanga, Tugu Tuangali, Katumo Kibuka, Kenya Yaitoni, Sayama Shujoka, never Kigano, Katinto Suka.
Hatuchagui kazi, kazi ni kazi. Boda boda, vijana mitaani.
Kenya yetomo lembe, no bomo no wachani talikende. Nande tiganya saya atolende, atokitera tuagate botambe.
Nchi yangu, jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Najivunia taifa langu, mimi ni shujaa.
Particularly about the integrity of the IEBC technology and server. We have intelligence and reports that their system was penetrated and hacked, and that some of the IEBC officials actually committed electoral offenses, and some of them ought to have been arrested if they were not arrested. I think you will remember that I had earlier stated that Bomas of Kenya was a crime scene, and that was way before the results of this. The reason that I say Bomas of Kenya was a crime scene is because as Kenyans were busy waiting for the outcome of this election,
Nchi yangu, jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Najivunia taifa langu, mimi ni shujaa, shujaa. Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Songe pamoja. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama. Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama. Wewe shujaa.
Commission IEBC to account to the people of Kenya to deliver a free, fair, credible, verifiable election. The people of Kenya deserve nothing less. Thank you very much. I will now give it to my colleagues. And lastly, because my colleagues have indicated, lastly, may I say that there is we would want to verify. We will be able to know and to tell the Kenyan people, because a result that is not verifiable is not a result, and therefore that is our and the chairman had actually assured Kenyans that he will run this process transparently, which he has not.
Is the party chairman, party leader, presidential candidate coming here?
I will not take questions for now, but we were not in a position to ask our party leader to come before we actually verify the results. So the first step was to verify the results, which we have not been able to do.
What more can you tell us about the irregularities?
Yeah, I think that's enough. That's enough. Thank you very much.
Kukinyesha tusinyeshewe, tuwe salama. Serikali kaingilia, tapunguza gharama. The day is finally here, tunahama. Finally, usawa kwa wote. Hata yule mapato ni duni, malazi yopata. Sisi wana Kenya tujitenga. Tuanzeni kujenga. Watoto wetu wasikose mahali pa kwenda. Chukua mawe na simiti weka kwa mabega. Tunajenga. Tunajenga. The journey starts with you and with me. Freedom is here.
Mimi na wewe ndio wenye nchi, tujenge pamoja.
Tuanzeni kujenga. Watoto wetu wasikose mahali pa kwenda. Chukua mawe na simiti weka kwa mabega. Tunajenga. Tunajenga. Tuanzeni kujenga. Watoto wetu wasikose mahali pa kwenda. Chukua mawe na simiti weka kwa mabega. Tunajenga. Tunajenga. Tuanzeni kujenga.
tunavuta kwa pamoja. Babu zetu walimwaga damu kukomboa nchi yetu Kenya, tukapata uhuru. Kwa juhudi zao tunajitawala, kwa ujuzi wetu tunasonga mbele. Viwandani tunachapa kazi, mashambani tunachapa kazi, twaboresha makao, tunachapa kazi, twaboresha afya, tunachapa kazi, tunasonga mbele. For the youth of Kenya, the future is bright. For the children of Kenya, the future is bright. With a B4 agenda, the future is bright. Tunavuta kwa pamoja.
I hear a whisper in the wind of a people with a dream, different colors of a nation come together for a win.
We share spirit deep within.
hearts beating the rhythm. Different faces of the nation come together for the win.
Pamoja tunaweza tujijenga. Pamoja we can.
We are we rise, we spread beyond our limits. Said we are stronger. We have fire. We are. We are. We are. We are. Warriors. Warriors. We are warriors. We are. We are. We are. Do the incredible.
This is Kenya's Choice 2022, and many thanks for keeping it Citizen TV, even as we keep our cameras and our eyes fixed on the Bomas of Kenya, the National Tallying Center. My name is Wahiga Mwaura, and I'm not alone here in studio. I'm together with...
Naam, bila shaka mimi ni Mashirima Kapombe, tukiwa tunaendelea tu kusubiri tangazo hilo kutoka IEBC. Mwenyekiti wa IEBC Wafula Chebukati alikuwa anatarajiwa kutangaza rais aliyechaguliwa mwendo wa saa 9, wakaahirisha hadi mwendo wa saa 10. Sijui kama wanangojea saa 11 ndio iwe the 5th at 5 p.m.
That is the question we are all asking. And Victoria Rubediri, all eyes, of course, are at the Bomas of Kenya. And this is after slightly over 14.1 million Kenyans took to the polling stations on August 9th. And their votes taking that journey from the over 46,000 polling stations to now the Form 34C, bearing the final result of the presidential race. 4 presidential candidates campaigned, they debated, and now waiting for this moment of reckoning. But we also have
Jeff Koinange here in the house, folks, and I tell you, it's been a wait and a wait and a wait. The patience of Kenyans is wearing. It's going to wear at some point, because you know, Chebukati promised to make an announcement 3 p.m. It's now 5 p.m.
The choirs can only do so much.
The choir. I think the fat lady has come and sang again. So we're waiting. It's a waiting game.
But something very interesting, Jeff, happened about a little under 30 minutes ago. The chief agent of Raila Odinga, Saitaba Ole Kanchori, called for a sort of impromptu press briefing just outside that auditorium there at the Bomas of Kenya, and said some very interesting things that may shed light on why we continue to wait and why presidential candidates and their agents have actually walked out of Bomas, including members of the diplomatic corps, and are now holding impromptu meetings on different parts of the premises of the Bomas of Kenya. This is what Saitabao said. He said, this election is not verifiable from where they sit. He raised questions with the chairman of the IEBC that they feel they do not have answers to. And when the chief agent of Raila Odinga was asked whether his presidential candidate is expected, he said that Raila Odinga will not be called to Bomas until his team has verified the results. I have agreed with them, and these results are contained in the Form 34C, a compilation of Form 34Bs from the 290 constituencies plus 1 from the diaspora vote. And so that's what we know at this moment. Obviously, you can tell that something is afoot for an announcement that was to be made at 3 p.m. Almost 2 hours later, no sign of the commissioners. A lot of activity there. And then this statement by the chief agent of Raila Odinga giving us a bit of an idea of where the dispute may be, and that is what may have caused this particular delay. Thanks for staying with us, wherever you're joining us from in Kenya and around the world. And let me also introduce our guests who are here with us. Bobby Mkangu continues to remain with us, an advocate of the High Court. Thanks for your patience today and just for bearing with this. We want to pick your mind a little bit. We're also joined by Titus Mahanu, an advocate of the High Court. And Titus, I can start immediately with you. You listened to that press briefing. What do you make of it?
Of course, under the Constitution, any candidate that has participated in an election has a right to either accept the results, has a right to reject the results based on how they view and based on the grounds that they feel ought to be put out in the public there.
Okay. What do you think Saitaba was not saying?
As to try and read into his intention,
yes,
a bit difficult, but what I can say is I foresee a situation where this election is going to be challenged.
You foresee that, and we have some of the timelines, and we'll be showing our viewers a bit later on what that looks like. But my goodness, this is quite a trend.
Definitely, if the elections are going to be challenged, we are looking at a scenario where the petition challenging the declaration has to be filed within 7 days. And 14 days after filing of that petition, the Supreme Court needs to determine it. Now, the question will be, or it will depend as to how the verdict will come. If the Supreme Court will be able to overturn the declaration, then we are staring at another 60 days within which another fresh election needs to be held.
And of course,
we are looking at probably towards the end of October before we can conclude this exercise of elections.
Na nadhani Mkangi, ukiangalia jinsi hali ilivyo pale, baadhi ya viongozi kutoka pande zote mbili walikuwa wametulia awali. Sasa hivi unaona ni kama wengine wanatoka, wengine wanarudi, wengine wanapigana pambaja. Je, inakupa matumaini kwamba kutakuwa na tangazo leo la rais aliyechaguliwa?
Nadhani manake mwenyekiti na tunasema ndio tuseme mwenye shughuli ya leo, Mheshimiwa Wafula Chebukati alikuwa amewatangazia Wakenya na tunaweza kusema ulimwengu mzima, manake macho yanaangazia Kenya leo, kwamba atatoa taarifa ama matangazo yake rasmi kuhusu ni nani ameibuka mshindi wa uchaguzi wa urais wa mwaka huu hivi leo, na hata alikuwa ametaja kwamba hii shughuli itaanza saa 9 mchana. Kwa hivyo nadhani ataendelea na shughuli na atatoa matangazo yake. Tumesikia pia kutoka upande wa mgombea wa Azimio Kenya One wakisema kwamba hawajaridhika na mchakato haswa kuhakikisha matokeo kufikia sasa, lakini hakutoa taarifa za ziada. Pengine kwa upande wao manake wanajua siku za makataa.
Bobby, if I can interrupt you, just to let our viewers know, there seem to be some leaders exiting the Bomas of Kenya. I've seen outgoing Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria is leaving. Outgoing Governor James Ongwae should be of Kisii also leaving. A sign, and of course they are Azimio leaning. We don't know where they're headed to, possibly to converge either at KICC at the Azimio Command Center, or maybe even to meet with presidential candidate Raila Odinga, but that is their motorcade, and they have left the Bomas of Kenya. And this is a kind of activity we may see in line with that statement by Saitaba Ole Kanchori that they haven't verified the results. They are not clearly satisfied if Chebukati was to read or make an announcement right now. And so this is very telling. Mkangu, you can continue.
Nilikuwa nasema kwamba siku za makataa za kikatiba ni kesho. Kwa hivyo hatujui kama upande wa mgombea aliyekuwa waziri mkuu Raila Odinga wanataka kuiomba tume iwape fursa ya wao wenyewe kuhakikisha kwamba wanakubaliana na matokeo ambayo yatatangazwa leo, lakini hiyo inaashiria kwamba pengine wanajua matokeo, kwa sababu huwezi kukikataa ambacho hujakiona ama hujakisikia. Lakini kama ulivyouliza, nadhani shughuli itaendelea, manake hapo awali tulipokuwa tunachanganua na wenzangu tulikumbuka kwamba katika chaguzi za hapo awali za mwaka 2013, 2017 mgombea Raila Odinga hakuwepo wakati mara ya kwanza mwenyekiti Isaka Hassan, na mwaka 2017 Wafula Chebukati alikuwa anatangaza matokeo. Kwa hivyo nadhani hilo la kwamba hao hawajaridhika na ambacho kama nilivyosema pengine washajua ni nini kitakachotangazwa. Kama hawatakuwa Wahiga amesema kwamba tumeona wengine wakiondoka, lakini nadhani shughuli itaendelea. Wafula Chebukati atafanya matangazo yake, na kwa sababu huu sio mwisho wa mchakato, manake matangazo ya Wafula Chebukati sio hapa, mfumo wetu sio kama nchi jirani Tanzania, ambapo hakuna fursa ama nafasi ya kupinga matokeo katika mahakama ama katika taasisi nyingineyo. Hapa kuna hiyo fursa, na kama hawajakubaliana nayo basi wana yeyote, manake hata sasa hatujajua matokeo.
Lakini pia Chebukati alisema kwamba atahakikisha kwamba hili tangazo halitafanywa usiku.
Naam.
Je, kuna uwezekano kwamba si kama Titus anaweza jibu hilo, kuna uwezekano wa tangazo hili kutolewa kesho?
Naam, nitajaribu kujibu kwa Kiswahili. Kulingana na sheria, kuna sheria ambayo inaitwa Interpretation, General Provisions and Interpretation Act, CAP2 ya Kenya, ambayo inapatia mwongozo kamili wa kuchanganua mambo ya muda, kwa sababu kikatiba Chebukati amepewa siku 7. Lakini ukiangalia katika ile sheria, siku 7 katika kisheria inamaanisha siku kama 8-9 hivi. Manake siku ambaye jambo lafaa kufanyika huwa haihesabiwi. Kwa hivyo bado ana muda, na hata ikiwa labda kungekuwa na kazi imemzidia hivyo, kana kwamba hawajamaliza mambo ya verifiability, angeweza kuenda kotini na kuuliza muda zaidi. Manake katiba haijatoa mwongozo kamili ya kwamba siku 7 zinapoisha basi hiyo shughuli inakuwa imeishia hapo. Hapana, imesema tu ana uwezo wa kutoa uamuzi wake chini ya muda wa siku 7. Lakini kwa sababu tuko na Supreme Court hapa Kenya, ikiwa huo muda umemwishia, anaweza enda kotini akauliza muda zaidi.
Okay. Bobby, let me bring you in here because there's a lot of speculation, especially on social media, as to what appears on that Form 34C and whose signatures should be appended on it. I've been seeing talk of some chief agents refusing to sign that form. Are they needed for that declaration to be made?
Well, at the end of the day, and we've seen even forms that stem from the polling stations, which some do not have signatures from the agents, and so that detail is recorded, and the signatures from the agents indicate a consensus, an agreement with what is indicated in those forms. So at the end of the day, the forms were still transmitted. The returning officers still did bring them to the National Tallying Office. So it is not the signatures of the agents that particularly legitimize the legality of the form itself, because it's a form that is of the honors of the chairperson of the IEBC as the National Returning Officer. So the signatures from the agents, at the end of the day, do infuse a level of credibility and agreement as to what they indicate, but it does not stop the National Returning Officer from declaring the elections because one side has refused to sign or has indicated reservations with what is in the form. So at the end of the day, if the chairperson decides to make the formal declaration, he will go ahead and do it and indicate that there were reservations from whatever side it was and the particular aspects of the reservations. And then those issues will be dealt with in the next step, and especially so if the side which is opposed to the declaration and the content of the form does choose to use the next step, and that is to petition at the Supreme Court.
Sam and Titus.
And basically, just to probably an addition, the moment you see a candidate to an election or their representatives objecting, disputing, or refusing to sign Form 34C, just like at the polling stations, you are you ought to know that you are staring at an election petition.
Na Titus, kidogo tusikize kile ambacho kinaendelea, maana inaonekana kwamba kuna nyimbo sijui ni za sifa ama ni za nini. Hebu tusikize. Tujue kile ambacho kinaendelea Bomas.
Serikali yetu imbioni, serikali yetu imbioni, tunafuata mwendo wetu Kenya. Warambe heko, heko jamhuri, heko jamhuri, zote heko jamhuri, Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Heko jamhuri, zote heko jamhuri, heko jamhuri, Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Twaenda mbio, Kenya yaenda mbele.
And folks, if you're listening in, you can tell from the body language of the people in that auditorium. It's very telling. It's very telling. You can see Kenya Kwanza literally going with the flow. And a moment ago, you saw the likes of Siaya Governor-elect James Orengo leaving this area. And his body language said it all. Waihiga, I don't know if you noticed that.
There's a lot of movement here. This is a secure part of the auditorium. It's very hard to get in there, Jeff. And you must have the right sort of accreditation. We're seeing members of the diplomatic corps making their way there. You're seeing agents of presidential candidates also. You wonder what's happening behind the scenes. What are we not aware of at this time? But the body language here, Jeff, doesn't need much interpretation, does it?
No. They are going with the flow. It looks like mostly Kenya Kwanza who is doing that.
And so here's what we know so far. About 40 minutes ago or so, after silence from the agents of both leading presidential candidates, Saitabao Ole Kanchori had an impromptu press briefing just on the lawn there of the Bomas of Kenya. He said from where they sit, the verification was opaque. They did their tally and they have not been able to access the Form 34C. They have questions. They believe the election is not verifiable. And for that reason, they will not be asking or inviting their presidential candidate to make his way to the Bomas of Kenya until they have that confirmation. So that is their challenge at this particular moment. Remember, a few days ago, Saitabao had actually walked up to the dais there and stated that the Bomas of Kenya is a crime scene. Remember, also, Wafula Chebukati had stated that he will make this announcement during daylight hours. Jeff, we have about 52 minutes to 6 p.m. If he wants to stick within that, he's got another 52 minutes or so to make that announcement. But I'm told we also have some more news from the IBC. Mashirima.
Naam, bila shaka zile taarifa ambazo naarifiwa kwamba tuendelee kwanza huku tukingoja taarifa hizo ziweze kuthibitishwa, lakini kama tumekuwa tukisema hapa, hizo nyimbo si za sifa, ni za uzalendo, lakini inaonekana ni upande mmoja ambao unahisi kwamba ni wazalendo hivi sasa. Tumekuwa tukitarajia kwamba tangazo hili litafanyika toka saa 9, lakini baadhi ya viongozi haswa kutoka Azimio la Umoja tumewaona wakiondoka kutoka hapo Bomas. Kama alivyosema awali Wahiga, ni kwamba wakala mkuu wa upande wa Azimio Saitabao Ole Kanchori alikuwa na wanahabari hapo awali na kusema kwamba wanatashwishi kwa sababu hawajaweza kuona hiyo fomu 34C ambayo ndio imejumlisha matokeo kutoka zile fomu 34B. Kumbuka walikuwa wanahakiki fomu 34A zilizokuwa kwenye Kim's kit, kisha wanalinganisha na zile original copies, kisha wanalinganisha na kile ambacho kilikuwa kimenakiliwa kwa 34B na kuzijumlisha kwenye fomu 34C. Kile ambacho tulikuwa tunatarajia ni kwamba hadi kufikia sasa Wafula Chebukati atakuja na fomu 34D ambayo ndio cheti cha kumkabidhi mshindi wa uchaguzi huu wa urais. Kinyang'anyiro ambacho bila shaka kimekuwa kigumu, sijui nisemeje, manake zile takwimu ambazo tumekuwa tukiona ni kwamba hawa wagombeaji wawili wakuu wamekuwa kikaribiana sana. Lakini nadhani kwa sasa kile ambacho wengi wanataka kujua ni nini haswa kinachoendelea Bomas, mbali na wale ambao tunawaona wakiongoza shughuli hiyo kwa nyimbo za uzalendo. Kwa wageni wetu hapa tumeona haswa wale mabalozi na baadhi ya viongozi wakiwa wanakutana kule nyuma. Hivi sasa tunaona gavana wa kuchaguliwa James Orengo aliyekuwa mgombeaji katika eneo la Embakasi
pamoja na Nairobi woman rep elect Esther Passaris in the middle of that group, and others huddled, conversing, discussing on numerous phone calls happening at the same time. And the assembly there at that auditorium, Mashirima, has changed. A lot of empty seats now. A lot of people have left. Some we've seen them exiting in their vehicles there at the entrance of the entrance/exit of the Bomas of Kenya. And so this shot really telling us a lot in terms of the consultations that are happening at this particular time.
Now, Wahiga, awali ulikuwa unatueleza sehemu ambapo tumeona hao mabalozi na viongozi wengine wakiwa wanaingia. Unasema ni sehemu ambayo si rahisi kufika. Nadhani wewe na Nimrod mlijaribu wako.
We were looking for some interviews yesterday, and that is a difficult place to access. And there's a lot of commotion around there. We don't know if all the commissioners are in there. That's where their lounge is. That's where they retreat to. That's where a lot of the work is happening beyond the validation, verification you are seeing at the floor of the auditorium. There's a lot that was happening behind that corridor where the rooms are a place many of us journalists who are at the Bomas were not able to access. But obviously, some of the big questions that have been asked at this time has been, will IBC complete this process on time? It does look like they will. Who will they declare the winner? Well, we're still waiting.
We're still waiting. And also, you know, for the fact of clearing this up for a lot of our viewers, because Bomas of Kenya has been the host of a lot of political posturing, if you will, where we see a lot of the political agents oftentimes being blamed by the IEBC commissioners for delaying the process. And, you know, when you look at this, to our two guests, in terms of people leaving the amphitheater, some coming back in, phone calls flying here and there, what impact does it have on the process? At the end of the day, you know, the Supreme Court said it's not an event. It's a process, one that started at the polling stations on August 9th. And according to that Maina Kiai ruling, that is where the presidential race was won or lost. So when we see these displays, you know, what does it mean? Does it have any impact, any bearing whatsoever on that process? I'll start with you, Bobby.
In terms of the technical process, not so much. Because we know, and Kenyans have been watching the process of, you know, tallying, verifying up to this stage, and some of them also have been doing their own independent tallying, because, as you indicated, the 34A forms are available on IEBC's website. So that aspect of it is so that there is transparency in the process, but also everyone can eventually verify what Chebukati announces, and as against what is in the forms. So, in terms of that technical aspect, in terms of the program and the timing that the chairperson has indicated, I think that this does not have any great impact. We must remember also this ceremonial arrangement is very much again for the optics of accountability, of transparency, of inclusion, but it could be the case because it's not a direct or categorical constitutional requirement that we must have this kind of ceremony where we even invite the diplomatic corps to come and you witness this. I think it's more in the cause of considering this to be a major national and state event that the IEBC does make it, you know, and declare in this very, very regaliad, if I may use that term, kind of event. Definitely, I think it has an impact, as I said, in terms of the optics and what those communicate out there to the Kenyans who are following this particularly, but also to the rest of the world, because they have been following this, they have been watching the events at IEBC, at Bomas of Kenya. And now we are seeing the choirs are back early in the morning. It was very much a celebratory mood with everyone in the auditorium, you know, getting up and dancing and getting down, as we say, to the music that the different choirs and musicians were tuning out. So this I think has more impact in terms of what it communicates.
Okay.
Gentlemen, if you could just look at the screens right now, look at live pictures of quite a few people literally walking out. There are quite a few people walking out, even as the religious...
But I'm not sure where... That was the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate, UDA presidential candidate, William Ruto. I'm not sure where he's heading to, because what we're seeing on the auditorium is a build-up in terms of arrival of different delegations here to the dais there. We've seen Interreligious Council members, Jeff.
Right.
They've filled up some of those seats now at the stage. Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit of the Anglican Church, Archbishop Martin Kivuva, the chair of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Bishop Emeritus David Oginde, who's the chair of the, I think, Evangelicals Association of Kenya, and others. We're now seeing also presidential candidates also arriving. So I suspect Deputy President William Ruto, who's the Kenya Kwanza candidate, is being routed to probably be somewhere behind the scenes here, as it seems that we are now closer than ever before to that announcement, Jeff, that Kenyans and the region and the continent and maybe the world have been waiting for since 3 p.m.
Inaonekana kuna shughuli hapo ni kana kwamba lile tangazo ambalo tumekuwa tukilingoja litafanyika muda wowote kutoka sasa. Lakini unajua wanahabari huwa tuna tabia ya kusema muda wote kutoka sasa, alafu tutaendelea kusema muda wote kutoka sasa hadi saa 1. Kwa hivyo ni kuwa tuna subra tuweze kuona kile ambacho kitaendelea. Namwona huyo ni mgombeaji wa chama cha Agano, David Mwaure, akiwa pia anaingia hapo kwenye eneo hilo la Bomas ambapo viongozi hao wa dini tayari wamekaa kwenye viti wakingojea tu tangazo hilo kutoka kwa Wafula Chebukati.
And I think everyone will be keenly following Jeff, the announcement that Wafula Chebukati makes, whether it aligns with Article 138 of the Constitution. The requirement to avoid a runoff would be to have a candidate who receives 50% plus 1 votes across the country and at least 25% of the votes cast in each of more than half of the counties. And there's been a lot of speculation that could this be the first run of the country? We'll see. Well, the man and the team that know could be stepping up onto the screen there.
Any moment from now.
Any moment from now, Jeff.
Literally any moment. There's becoming a bevy of activity over there. Wahiga, you said you tried to get into that space a while ago.
We used everything we could to try and
Labda leo mngefaulu.
our way there. The security team has been enhanced almost 3 times this week. There was a lean team on Tuesday into Wednesday. From Thursday, it was escalated. Even getting into the gate was a problem, even with the right documents. And yesterday, you had to fight to make your win, especially with the incidents. I know you guys saw, and we were in studio with some of you.
Yeah.
Laptops, and all, commotion over different issues. And so the security team here has had to keep changing their protocols as they assess the situation on the ground.
No, absolutely. And of course, that amphitheater floor has been cleared of those tables that initially were set up to verify the Form 34B coming in from the returning officers, 290 of them, but now all collated into the Form 34C that will eventually become Form 34D. That is the certificate that will be handed over to the winner, announced by IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati. That is the man, that's the face that we want to see come through that space right there and make that all-important announcement. Kenyans have been waiting patiently since last Tuesday when they went to the polls. But of course, with all this activity, familiar faces in the political scene making their way in and out of that amphitheater, and of course, raising a lot of questions as to what could they be discussing, what could be leading to this delay with very important individuals already in the room, having waited for hours before this point. So it doesn't help in terms of this vacuum of information. It can be filled with a lot of misinformation.
That's correct. It's been hard to really, trust what you see on social media this past week, Jeff.
And also the optics coming out of the screens. You can see the optics. What does this tell your average viewer? What's going on at Bomas, folks? I'm sure that's what they're asking. Around the country and around the world, what's going on at Bomas? You see that security at that place, it's being enhanced literally by the minute. And people are wondering, what's going on? When's Chebukati going to come out? What's he going to say? It's all a question of when, if.
The 7 most important people right now are the IBC commissioners.
Yeah.
We haven't spotted either of them.
Any of them.
Up until now. And I'm wondering who that security team there is clearing that corridor for. We've only seen one presidential candidate make their way out from there after they'd left, after they'd all stepped out. We're waiting to see whether George Ojakoya will come back in. And of course, the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate, William Ruto. But the commissioners are the men and women of the moment. And we are waiting for them to emerge and hopefully emerge before 6 p.m. as per the promise that they made. What a week, what an election. It's been Titus and Mkangu here, even as we've continued to follow what's happening.
Naam, Wahiga, na leo nadhani ni siku muhimu kwa sababu iwapo tangazo hili litafanyika leo, basi inawapa wale ambao hawajaridhishwa siku saba za kwenda mahakamani kupinga matokeo. Kwa hivyo iwapo tangazo hili litafanyika leo, wale ambao wanapinga matokeo wana hadi Jumatatu ijayo kwenda kuwasilisha kesi mahakamani. Iwapo haitafanyika leo, itafanyika kesho, basi wana hadi Jumanne.
Okay, so this is now live from the Serena Hotel. Juliana Cherera, Justus Nyang'aya, these are IEBC commissioners, Francis Wanderi, Irene Masit, 4 of the 7 IEBC commissioners not at the Bomas of Kenya, but at the Serena Hotel, and they're about to issue a statement. We're not sure why they're not at Bomas. It was assumed they'd all be together, but let's listen in.
Ready? Good morning. Well, good evening. As you can see, part of the commissioners are here because this is what we want to say. We have done the 2022 general election in the most effective and efficient manner. We have ensured that all the challenges have been contained, but okay. As you can see, we are part of the commissioners in the IEBC. We have conducted the 2022 general election, and we have ensured that we have improved the standards, and we have ensured that we have consistently communicated what is happening. We have partnered with all stakeholders, and we'll say it for a fact that as the Commission, we have done a good job. But some things need to be put out there. As you can see, the 4 of us, we are here, not at Bomas of Kenya, where the results is going to be announced because of the opaque nature of how this phase has been handled. We therefore cannot take ownership on the results that is going to be announced. However, we have an open door that people can go to court, and because of the same, we urge Kenyans to be peaceful because the rule of the law is going to prevail. Thank you.
Why can't you take it? What's happening?
I said because of the opaque nature of this last phase of the general election, and we are not able to take ownership of the results that will be announced. We are going to give a comprehensive statement, but this is from us, the four of us, and again, we urge Kenyans to keep calm. There is an open door that people can go to court, and the rule of law is going to prevail. Thank you.
What do you mean by people can go to court?
Some of the forms 34A have not been verified by the Azimio.
What is not happening?
Can you clarify on that?
We have said, have you just come?
Commissioner. Commissioner.
A recap because we are not going to take questions. Agreed. We will give a comprehensive detail of today's. I have said.
When is that likely to be?
They want a recap. There are people who missed. Yes, yes. We are saying we have upped the standards of election in this country. We have step by step faced the challenges that have been there. At the same time, we have ensured that things are running despite everything else. Now, we are not at Bomas of Kenya because we cannot take ownership of the results that is going to be announced because of the opaque nature which these results have been handled. We'll give details of this opaque nature very soon.
Why are you doing this now? Why are you doing this now? Like before?
Naam.
Those are live images from the Bomas of Kenya, the National Tallying Center. We've also brought you that short press briefing by 4 commissioners at the Serena Hotel. What is emerging is a split at the IEBC with Wafula Chebukati, the chair, and 2 commissioners who had earlier on made their way to the dais there at the Bomas of Kenya, possibly to release the results. but commotion ensued there at the day's security situation, and the security officers there are now trying to sort out the situation. But I know, Mashirima, you're also following what was happening at the Serena Hotel, where that press briefing just took place.
Naam, bila shaka na naibu mwenyekiti wa IEBC Juliana Cherera pamoja na makamishna wengine wa IEBC Julius Nyang'aya, Francis Wanderi na Irene Masit wakiwa wanatoa hotuba hapo kwa wanahabari wakisema kwamba wamejaribu zaidi kurekebisha yale ambayo yalikuwepo katika chaguzi za awali, na kwamba uchaguzi huu wameufanya kwa njia nzuri kabisa, na kwamba wameweza kushirikiana na washikadau wengine, na kutoka kwao wanasema kwamba wamefanya kazi nzuri, lakini Julian hapo akisema kwamba kuna masuala ambayo wanahitaji kuyasema, kwamba hawawezi kujumuika na wengine pale Bomas, lakini Faisal Abdulrahman ni Faisal Ahmed ambaye yuko Serena hivi sasa, anaungana nasi kwa mengi zaidi. Faisal, kama unatusikia, hebu tueleze kwa nini makamishna hao hawaja kubali maswali, na la msingi wamesema nini?
Naam, asante sana Mashirima, labda ungeweza kunikubalia niweze kuendelea kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Now the 4 IEBC commissioners just a few minutes ago concluded a press briefing that was also very brief, less than 5 minutes, explaining that the whole process, the whole 2022 general elections were conducted in a way that they feel was actually very good and above board. However, they're saying that there was some issues with the last tallying, that is for the presidential candidates, and that they are not comfortable being part of it, and that there were some opaque things that were happening in which they do not want to be a part of. However, they've refused to take our questions, and they insist that they're going to give a more detailed press briefing after this. So we're just waiting to hear more from them, but all indications are showing that there is a dispute or discord between the IEBC commissioners, because a few moments ago 4 of them were here addressing the media on the irregularities or opaqueness or opaque nature in which the presidential tally was actually conducted with. Now, from here, we're just going to see if they're going to give us that detailed brief or if we are going to actually go somewhere else and see what's happening. But so far, that is what we have here from Serena Hotel, and we just are keeping our eyes and ears open in case anything else pops up. Mashirima.
Ahmed hapo kutoka Serena akiwa anatueleza yale ambayo yamejiri katika mkahawa huo wa Serena, akisema kwamba makamishna hao 4 wamejitenga na matangazo ambayo tulikuwa tunatarajia kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa IEBC Wafula Chebukati ambaye ni afisa mkuu wa uchaguzi wa urais. Makamishna hao wakiwa ni naibu wa IEBC Juliana Cherera, Julius Nyang'aya, Francis Wanderi na Irene Masit.
Now, Sam and Titus, you saw the pictures coming out of Bomas. Last 6 days, it's been pretty calm and tranquil. And Wahiga, you were there yourself. You saw that for yourself.
I mean, there were isolated incidents here and there, but right. nothing close to what was...
Nothing close to what we've just seen the last 30 minutes or so. And Chebukati had actually come down. He was on the dais, like you said, and then he disappeared back upstairs. 4 commissioners have taken off, saying they aren't going to go with the results of what they call the opaqueness of the election.
The last phase, specifically.
That's
what she kept emphasizing. That's right.
What's going on?
Jeff, to be honest, of course, without doubt, the situation has been complicated by the statement that has been read by the 4 commissioners from Serena. If they had not read the statement, probably one would say it would have been a bit easier to cascade along the legal provisions. But having come out very clearly, very unequivocally, to state that they do not wish to be associated with the results that are going to be announced at Bomas, it really complicates the situation. Remember, this is something that we have never stared before in this country. So perhaps in as much as they have said that parties that dispute to it have a right to go to court, which of course is provided for in the Constitution. But the message that is strongly sent out there is that towards the tail end, the whole process has been compromised. And compromised in the basis that at this point, I suppose Chebukati is remaining with 3 commissioners. So it's 3 commissioners.
Two commissioners.
Two commissioners against 4. And I mean, in all strings of imagination, I wouldn't want to speculate, but how does it come to a point where 4 people are disputing against 2?
Bobby?
Nikiongezea Kiingereza mani
Endelea tuweke lugha ambayo wewe mwenyewe unaridhia.
Yale mwenzangu aliyosema ni kwamba hawa wanne.
Bobby, let me interrupt you for a second. I can see there William Ruto's mother being escorted. I don't know if it's to the days or outside. Of course, she's been here as all this has been happening, and we certainly hope the authorities here will quickly restore peace and calm to this auditorium. It's very crucial because the declaration of the president-elect will be made here. So I think she's being escorted out.
Yeah, looks like out.
Probably the state of security there is not one that can be guaranteed, but it is very unfortunate what has transpired here. And I don't know to both my guests here whether the Constitution envisioned a situation where there's a split in the commission. I know 2017 wasn't easy either. You remember Rosalind Akombe, the then commissioner, left just before the fresh election on the 18th of October 2017. And thereafter, you know, there were a lot of questions about how the commission had been running, whether they'd been united as they moved forward, but somehow they were able to soldier and weather whatever storm they went through and give Kenyans a decision. But this time round, it seems that that will not be the case. What does the Constitution say about a split in the IBC, if that was ever a discussion, Bobby?
I wanted to give that dynamic in terms of the optics, that the 4 commissioners, if I'm not wrong, are the newly appointed commissioners, the ones who came into office
September 2021, I believe?
Last year.
Yeah.
And so we were probably seeing that institutional, split. But we, in terms of the constitutionality and legality of what was intended today, we have to remember that, yes, the commission comprises, constitutionally of the chairperson and the commissioners. So there is the sense that the chairperson is an institution unto itself. And that's why when you look at Article 138(10) and why the chairperson is the national returning officer of the presidential election, it does give that onus on the chairperson. It doesn't say it is the commission that announces.
It does put the onus
on the chairperson of the commission to declare the election, within 7 days after the presidential election. So as long as the chairperson does eventually give that announcement, then we move to the next step. But as he said, it definitely compromises the legitimacy of that announcement that the chairperson will give. However...
Just hold that thought, if you want, for a moment, because we've got our own Francis Gachuri on the floor of the Bomas of Kenya right now, the Nerve Center. Francis Gachuri, if you can hear us, what is going on?
Check, mic check, mic check.
Mic check is fine, Gachuri. You can go on. What's going on? You're talking to the studio. Gachuri, if you can hear us.
Jeff, I can hear you. Good afternoon. Doesn't look like a very good one here at the Bomas of Kenya. What started as a very patriotic event, escalating into scenes of violence. And this began with a news conference outside the Bomas of Kenya, where the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate's chief agent in the presidential race, Saitabao Ole Kanchori, addressed the news conference and said that they were dissatisfied with the process, together with the other agents from the Azimio team, claiming that they had not been given access to the Form 34C. This is the form that tabulates all the presidential election results in the August 9th, 2022 presidential race. And as soon as Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairman, made his way to the auditorium to make a declaration of the presidential election results, violence broke out. At the main podium, we could see Narok Senator-elect Ledama Ole Kina, together with Saitabao Ole Kanchori and other Azimio leaders who are expressing their dissatisfaction with the results that Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairman, was just about to announce insofar as the presidential election results is concerned. And so some pandemonium broke out. There were people who went to the main podium, tried to rough up the IEBC chairman. Some of the seats there were thrown away. The podium from which the IEBC chairman was to make the declaration was also roughed up, but eventually it has been reconstructed, and security now intensified. Even members of the family of the deputy president who are seated here at the auditorium, including his mother and the children, have been evacuated from the building to a safe space where the deputy president also was at the lounge where he was waiting together with other presidential candidates in the August 9th race, George Wajakoya of the Roots Party, and Agano Party is Wahiga Mwaure. Now, the question that remains to be responded to, Wahiga, Jeff, at this point is whether the results will be announced or not. We understand that the IEBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, is still within the precincts of the Bomas of Kenya, and security arrangements being made. We can see the religious leaders, among them Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit of the Anglican Church of Kenya, Archbishop Martin Kivuva Musonde of the Catholic Archdiocese of Mombasa, together with other members of the Interreligious Council, have made their way back to the auditorium. Security now intensified under the leadership of Noor Gabo. Noor Gabo is the Deputy Inspector General of Police, together with other senior police officers. A contingent of General Service Unit officers came in and restored calm. What we now wait to see is whether IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati will come back here and make the declaration insofar as the presidential election result is concerned. Remember, Jeff, also 4 commissioners of IEBC, Vice Chair Juliana Huonge Cherera, Commissioner Francis Wanderi, Commissioner Irene Cherop Masit, Justice Nyamaya, went and addressed the conference in a hotel where the disputed results that are just about to be declared by IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, claiming that the process of valid verification here at the Bomas of Kenya was opaque and would not be part of the results that are just about to be announced. So tense moments here, Jeff. The choir, the NHIF choir, together with the Muungano choir, continues to belt a patriotic song, maybe to pacify the situation and that has been building here as we wait for the next way forward insofar as the declaration of the presidential election results is concerned. Jeff, back to you.
You know what, Gashuri, we actually did get that presser live from Julia Cherera and the other commissioners saying that they will not take ownership of the results that are about to be announced by IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati. Well, you're looking at pictures right there. It looks like the religious leaders have returned, guys. It looks like Chebukati might be making his way back. He might still make that announcement that he said he would make this afternoon. What do you guys think?
Well, one good sign, hopefully, is I'm hoping there's no injuries. Some of the scenes we saw there earlier, simply horrifying, and I hope the authorities can quickly find out sort of who was involved in this. It's very unnecessary. I think we have shown as a country that there are ways to resolve disputes. We have courts that are on standby, and I think the Chief Justice had even given orders on the same. But it seems like there's a movement now, Jeff, okay? Deputy President, Moses Wetangula, Mike Sonko, and others have now made their way in. I already said I've seen the Deputy President, William Ruto, leading that team there to take his position there. I think someone in the gallery didn't quite hear me a bit earlier on. And of course, the Kenya Kwanza UDA candidate. I guess, Jeff, we are now waiting for the 3 commissioners.
That's right.
Because they are the only ones. And it's only Wafula, actually. Article 138, subsection 10, right, stipulates the chairperson of the IEBC shall announce the president-elect. And he's the national returning officer and the presidential returning officer as well. So as much as there are 7 commissioners, the task of reading the name of the president-elect is up to Wafula Chebukati as envisioned in the law.
It looks like everyone's standing right now, which is a sign, guys. It's a sign. Let's listen in. Let's listen in.
Amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. One.
One, two, 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 two. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. 1,
2. Microphone checking. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check check check. 1 2. Sinike kwa house please. So.
Tunatarajia muda mfupi kutoka sasa kwamba mwenyekiti wa IEBC Wafula Chebukati atafika hapo kwenye jukwaa ili kutangaza mshindi wa uchaguzi wa urais, jukumu ambalo ni lake kama afisa mkuu wa uchaguzi wa urais katika eneo hilo la Bomas. Mbali na yale ambayo tumeshuhudia awali, zile rabsha zilizokuwa katika ukumbi huo wa Bomas, na kwa upande mwingine makamishna wanne wa IEBC wakijitenga na lile ambalo wanasema ni tangazo litakalotolewa Bomas. Tunaona kwamba maafisa wa usalama wamerejesha hali ya utulivu katika ukumbi huo, mama mzazi wa naibu rais William Ruto akiondolewa katika ukumbi huo, lakini tayari tunaona pia viongozi wa dini wakiwa wamekaa hapo kwenye jukwaa pamoja na naibu wa rais William Ruto, mke wake Rachel na mgombea mwenza wake ambaye alikuwa mbunge wa Mathira Rigathi Gachagua.
And as you can see there, the hall restored to order, thankfully, to the action of the authorities. There we can see the IEBC chair, Wafula Chebukati, making his way to the dais as we await him to make the declaration of the winner of the 2022 general election presidential race. He, of course, is the national returning officer, the presidential returning officer, and he will make public the contents of the Form 34C, which will then become the Form 34D that he'll hand over to the winner once he announces. And of course, there, Deputy President William Ruto, the UDA presidential candidate, who is also joined by his wife, Rachel Ruto. Let's listen in now.
This is the moment Kenya has been waiting for. The nation has been anxious, but we want to urge all Kenyans, let us now put our anxiety aside. The Bible says the end of a matter is better than the beginning. We want to urge the country to remain united. We have families to look after, an economy to grow, children who will go back to school. We want our nation back. Let us all pray together. Heavenly Father, here we stand before you as a nation of Kenya. We have always seen your hand of mercy, looking after us, watching after us. Even when we push ourselves to the brink, you always know how to lift us up. Lord, we want to ask you that you'll guide the nation of Kenya today as we are going to hear the announcement of the process that has always been on. And Lord, when we hear the outcome, our prayer is that you'll keep this nation united. You'll make us find our being and love one another and care for each other, for we all belong together. None of us is going to go anywhere. We will remain to support each other and grow this country. We commit, oh God, all those who have been leading us to you in their various formation, that you will bless them. And as the election has come to a conclusion, we know there are those who have lost. Lord, we ask that you will help them as they come to terms. And even those who have won, Lord, help them to be magnanimous in their winning and embrace everybody. For they have been given an opportunity to lead those who voted for them and those who did not vote for them. So, Lord, bind us together with cords of love that cannot be broken. Enable us, oh God, to emerge out of this, shake off our dust, and march on and build this great nation. Lord, for the exercise ahead of us, we commit the chair and the commissioners before you, and all of us gathered in this room, that your will prevails, your presence overwhelms us, and this nation, oh God, will not go to the drain because you reign. This is our prayer in the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Good evening. We have walked the journey of ensuring that Kenyans get a free, fair, and credible election. It's not been an easy journey. Right now, 2 of my commissioners and the CEO are injured. And of course, they are being treated. We have staff who have been profiled. There's a staff returning officer in Embakasi West who disappeared while on duty. We have staff who have been arbitrarily arrested for no reasons. We don't know where they are. Some from this National Tallying Center. But we have a constitutional duty to perform. And that's why I stand before you today, despite intimidation, harassment, I took an oath of office to serve this country. And I've done my duty in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of the land. And I feel proud that I've been given this opportunity to serve Kenyans. This, of course, will be my last election to preside over. And for those who will come, we have prepared for you what the Constitution envisaged from us, an independent electoral commission. So I just want to thank the staff of IEBC, the soldiers who braved insults, harassment, and delivered right from the constituencies to the counties and up to the National Tallying Center. I want to thank stakeholders, state and non-state stakeholders who have worked with us on this journey, and more particularly the members of the diplomatic community and the religious leaders who have been keeping vigil at this center for the last 3 days. They have been here throughout, 24 hours a day. So Kenyans came out and voted on the 9th of August, and these are the results of what the will of the Kenyan people reflects. These results are in the public portal. The same results which I'm reading here are the ones in the public portal. So there were 4 presidential candidates. These are the aggregated results. Odinga Raila, total valid votes, 6,942,930. And this represents 48.85% of the votes garnered, and he achieved a number of counties the candidate attained with at least 25% of the total valid votes cast is 34 counties. Ruto William Samoei, number of valid votes, 7 million. Thank you. 7,176,141. This represents 50.49%. And he achieved the minimum number of 39 counties at 25%. Waihika David Maure, number of valid votes in figures 31,987. That represents 0.23%. Number of counties with a minimum of 25%, 0. Wachakoya George Luchiri, 61,969. Those are valid votes. Percentage of votes cast 0.44%, and number of counties with a minimum of 25% attained, 0. So, in accordance with the law, the Constitution and the law, I, Wafula Chebukati, Chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, hereby declares that Ruto William Samoei of ID number 6847208 has been duly elected as the President of the Republic of Kenya under the provisions of Article 138 of the Constitution in the presidential election held on 9th of day of August 2022. And I'll proceed to sign the certificate. I invite the President-elect to come forward and receive his certificate.
Habari njema kwa Wakenya wote, tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka isiyoegemea upande wowote, inayodumisha demokrasi Kenya. Kura yako ni siku zako za usoni, chagua uongozi utajivunia. IEBC, jihusishe na upige kura. IEBC,
And of course, the president-elect had a running mate. Rigathi Gachagua is the deputy president-elect. Thank you. I invite the president-elect to make his remarks. And thank you, Kenyans, for having a peaceful election. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, and High Commissioners present, Your Lordships, the Bishops, and members of the clergy in the Republic of Kenya, my good deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, distinguished members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, led by Chairman Wafula Chebukati, fellow countrymen and women, good evening. It is a wonderful evening, and I want to thank God that we are here this evening to witness this momentous occasion as the people of Kenya restate what is in Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya, that all sovereign power belong to the people of Kenya. I want to thank God for getting us to this point. I want to thank God that today we have concluded this election. I know that there were predictions that I won't get to the ballot. There were predictions that we won't get here. But because there is a God in heaven, we are here. And I want to, in a very special way, say and confess that without God, we wouldn't have been here. My gratitude also goes to the people of Kenya, the millions who listened to us, the millions who participated in our campaigns peacefully, the millions who turned up to vote for us on 9th of August, and the millions who have waited patiently until this announcement has been made. Specifically, I want to thank my fellow countrymen and women because we have raised the bar in this election. Jointly, we have raised the bar. This election was much about the issues than the ethnic configurations that have always informed our elections. Gratitude goes to the millions of Kenyans who refused to be boxed into tribal cocoons. I am a very proud Kenyan this evening that the people of Kenya have raised the bar on us who are seeking leadership in our country. Not to sell our ethnicities, but to sell our programs, our manifestos, our agenda, and our plan. Let me also say right at the start that in here and in this election, there are no losers. The people of Kenya have won because we have raised the political bar. I want to say that the people of Kenya, led by the 14 million who turned up to vote, are the biggest winners. The hero of this election is the IEBC, led by Wafula Chebukati. I say this with conviction that the IEBC amazed all of us. With the results in the public portal, all the servers were open. And everybody, all you needed is a simple calculator, and you would have the results. I want to congratulate the IEBC for raising the bar. And I want to say, without fear of any contradiction, that one Wafula Chebukati is our hero. Soft-spoken, but firm. And I want to tell you, Mr. Chairman, we are very proud that without informing any one of us, you put all the results from all the polling stations on a public portal where any Kenyan could access. That became the game changer in this election. Let me also, at this point in time, thank our partners, the religious leaders, who were part of this process right from the beginning. For the first time, we saw religious leaders spend time at this Starling Center and prayed for this process. I am sure their prayers will not be in vain. I also want to thank our development partners, our diplomatic community, and all the observers who came in their thousands to be part and parcel of the process right from almost 2 weeks ago to its conclusion in this auditorium. To all of them, I tell them the people of Kenya are eternally grateful that you took your time, valuable time, to watch over this process so that the right thing can happen. I want to thank my worthy competitor, the Honorable Raila Odinga, for a campaign that we all dwelled on issues and we tried to sell an agenda to the people of Kenya. I want to promise that I will work with all elected leaders and all leaders in Kenya so that we can fashion a country that leaves nobody behind. What the people of Kenya have done, they have assigned us responsibilities. There will be those of us who will be in the executive, but there will be those of us who will oversee what we do in the executive. both responsibilities in government and in the opposition are important for the people of Kenya. I want to promise the people of Kenya that I will run a transparent, open, democratic government. And I will work with the opposition to the extent that they provide oversight over my administration. Let me also, at this point in time, acknowledge my boss, the President of the Republic of Kenya. His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, who has worked with me over the last 10 years in various forms. And I want to commit to the people of Kenya that I will build on the foundation that President Kenyatta and I put together and take this country to the next level. I want to promise all the people of Kenya, whichever way they voted, that this will be their government. I know many are wondering, especially those who have done many things against us. I want to tell them that they have nothing to fear. There is no room. There is nothing. There is no room for vengeance. There is no room for looking back. We are looking into the future. I am acutely aware that our country is at a stage where we need all hands on deck to move it forward. We do not have the luxury to look back. We do not have the luxury to point fingers. We do not have the luxury to apportion blame. We must close ranks and work together for a functioning, democratic, prosperous Kenya. I want to thank the members of my team, starting with my wife and family. And many other prayer warriors in Kenya. And I want to confess that I have been prayed into victory. It is not our effort. And my team knows. We were working against the odds, many odds at that. But I must confess that it is God who brought us this victory. I do not want to mention the many people, many friends who have been part and parcel of this journey. Many people have paid huge sacrifices for us to get here. I want to promise them that their sacrifice will not be in vain. I and my team and I will work very hard to make sure that we don't let the sacrifices made by many Kenyans, we don't let them down. I am very confident that this country will come together and we can move forward as one united, democratic, and prosperous country. I want to ask our religious leaders from across Kenya to pray for us and to pray for the unity and prosperity of our country. I will not want to say more than that because I will be making other statements in the course of time. But let me say to all of you, thank you very much for being here this evening to witness this very historic, democratic occasion that moves our country to the next level. And let me thank my very able deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, for the sacrifice and the commitment he has demonstrated and the hard work he has put in, together with all our teams, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, JB Muturi, Mr. Mutua, Amazon Kingi, and all. Let me not go down that route because I will disappoint some people, because that list is very long, especially the men and women, members of parliament who were elected with us in Jubilee. And they have paid a heavy price for us to get here. Ladies and gentlemen, waheshimiwa, let me say, I owe you. You are great people. The sacrifices you made, withstanding the many incidences of blackmail and threats, I want to tell you, you have earned your place in the history of Kenya, because today we're going to form a government together to serve the people of Kenya. So with those many remarks, let me say to all the people of Kenya, I give you my word that I will work hard to make sure that this nation moves to the next level, is united and is prosperous. Asanteni sana.
Shangilia Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda. Na ukipenda Kenya, ujitengane na mambo yenye kuvunja amani. Hatutaki matata Kenya, hatutaki matata Kenya. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote, mtu mwenye kutenda haki, mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Kenya makao yetu ni nchi ya kupendeza, kamwe hatutaiacha, kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. tukijiita wa Kenya, nchi yenye baraka. Kenya nchi yenye baraka. Kenya nchi yenye baraka. Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu. Kenya tunayoipenda. Kenya nchi tunayoipenda. Kenya nchi tunayoipenda. Wenzangu, Kenya wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele. Kenya kipenzi chetu, nchi yenye upendo, hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele. Wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele. Tumeapa sote wananchi wa Kenya, kutumikia Kenya daima na milele. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya ni mama yetu, tena ni baba yetu, hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele. Sitaiacha Kenya nchi yangu. Sitadanganywa kamwe na wageni. Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Wala sitapotoshwa na wabaya. Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Sitasaliti Kenya nchi yangu. Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Wala kutangika. Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima. Wema wangu, wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele. Wenzangu, Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele. Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu. Kenya tunayoipenda, taifa letu tunayoipenda. Kenya nchi tunayoipenda. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Na ukipenda Kenya, ujitengane na mambo yenye kuvunja amani. Hatutaki matata Kenya. Hatutaki matata Kenya daima.
Kenya kipenzi, hatutai milele daima. Twende Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Namaliza, mimi ni mwana Kenya daima, na nikienda ng'ambo nitarudi. Sitawacha makabila zitugawanye.
Mimi ni mwana Kenya daima.
Mwenzangu, wenzangu,
Kenya kipenzi chetu,
hatutaiacha
milele
daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde nchi yetu, tuimbe tuishi kwa chuki situmalize, tusameane, tupendane, ni wewe Mungu. Tunasema Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde nchi yetu kabisa, tuishi kwa upendo, chuki situmalize, tusameane, tupendane, ni wewe Mungu. Can we say love, love, love one? Umeweka DJ? Haya, sawa sawa. Asanteni wa Kenya kwa amani. Tunaenda pamoja tuimbe wimbo hii, na baada ya hapo nasema kwanza kabla kwenda, asanteni kwaya, tujipigie makofi. Watu walisema wajui mnatoa nguvu wapi, Mungu awakumbuke. Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde nchi yetu, tuishi kwa umoja, chuki situmalize, tusameane, tupendane, ni wewe Mungu pekee. Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde Kenya yetu, kila mtu twende, tuishi kwa upendo, chuki situmalize, tusameane, kila mtu twende, ni wewe hapa. Let me say love, love, love one another. What can you do to say not love one another? We say serve, serve, serve one another. What can you do to say not serve each other? We are the leaders of today, we are the kings of today, we are the princes and the queens of now. We are the one that the Lord has chosen, yes. We are the one with the power today, yes. Amen. My home, my Kenya, my land, my residence, my president, my town, my city, my crown, my land, my land, my land, my home, my Kenya, my land, my residence, my president, my town, my city, my crown, my land. Hapo sasa kiendelea. Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde nchi yetu, kila mtu twende, tuishi kwa umoja, chuki situmalize, tusameane, tupendane, ni wewe Mungu pekee. Mungu Baba, twaomba uilinde Kenya yetu, kila mtu twende, tuishi kwa upendo, chuki situmalize, tuungane, kila mtu twende, ni wewe Mungu pekee. Raundi hii wasee na washow, tusipochunga Vision 2030 itakuwa Vision 3020. Violin. Maombi, amani, upendo, umoja. Maombi, amani, upendo, amani, upendo, umoja. Maombi, amani, upendo, umoja. Maombi, amani, upendo, umoja. Maombi, amani, upendo, umoja. Amani, upendo. Twende Kimasai sasa.
Weka Kenya ni mimi, Kenya ni wewe, tumalizie pamoja hiyo, si ndio? Haya,
pamoja, weka mikono hapo. Tumalizie kwa pamoja.
Ole kaputa. Kenya ni mimi. Kenya ni wewe.
Wanakwenda twende pamoja.
Hayo. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya ninaipenda. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya nitaijenga. Kenya ni mimi. Kenya ni wewe. Kenya tuwa moja. Kenya ni mimi. Kenya ni wewe. Kenya tuwa moja. Babu zetu walituonyesha maana ya umoja. Hizo nyayo zao twatakiwa kufuata. Hivyo nasema amani. Ni nchi yangu. Kenya ninaipenda. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Mama ya Kenya nitaijenga.
Tunaenda kwa pamoja.
Ukabila tutaumaliza nchini Kenya tunayoipenda. Vijana kwa wamama, wazee kwa watoto, tunasema amani, amani nchini Kenya. Pembe zote tuseme amani. Mungu Baba katuweka pamoja, akijua tuwa moja. Damu yako leo ikitolewa, utashangaa ni kama ya mwenzako. Mbona tupigane? Mbona tusosane? Mbona tuchukiane? Wakenya, Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya, 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 Kenya ninaipenda. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya nitaijenga. Vijana mna Mungu, vijana mna nguvu. Msikubali kuharibu Kenya. Msitumike na mtu yeyote asiyependa kujenga Kenya. Oh, yele mama. Yele mama. Yele mama. Yele mama. Oh, yele mama. Yele mama. Yele mama. Yele mama. Usipige mwenzako, piga kura. Chagua lako. Unapomaliza enda nyumbani. Ngojea chaguo la Mungu. Maana chaguo la Mungu ni amani. Amani. Upendo. 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 Nakupenda mwenzangu. Upendo. Nakupenda. Upendo. Itakulinda. Upendo.
Amazing. Mungu awabariki. Mungu bariki Kenya. It is well with us.
Ole kaputa. Kenya ni mimi. Kenya ni wewe. Hayo. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya ninaipenda.